Forum. Today we have one of our members, Sarah Vail. She drives over here from Coeur d'Alene for our meetings. I'm really happy that she's part of our group. She always wanted to write, she says, and I believe her. And she always wanted to write mystery and suspense fiction. Okay, I got it. She was inspired by Nancy Drew and Agatha Christie books, which is similar to me. And she consistently added creative writing classes to her college itinerary. After school, she took night classes whenever she could. And she has continued her education in creative writing, copy and content writing, criminal justice, forensic science, criminology, and criminal interrogations, weapons handling, and world history. And this is all throughout the last years. And in 2024, 2 of her books in her mystery series won awards in national contests, which is pretty cool. I'm gonna cut this a little short, Sarah, so you've got plenty of time. I'm really excited to have her. This will almost be like a mini workshop. I understand it, but you know, it's gonna be fun. And so I want you to all welcome Sarah Vail.
So I'm actually gonna put you guys to work. No, can't hear. Now can you? Okay. Okay, can everybody hear me? No? Oh dear.
Go ahead, try it. Test.
Okay.
Is that better?
Test. Is that better? Okay, I'm going to put everybody to work today. So I'm gonna pass out copies of this. And it's going to be about writing an engaging fiction scene. Okay?
There.
Oh. And I'll let you guys get copies of it, and then we'll start from there.
While I'm doing this, why don't you tell us a little more about yourself?
Yes.
I skipped some parts. So.
Okay. Well, I have 5 novels in my repertoire, 4 mysteries and 1 historical fiction. I used to raise Arabian and breed Arabian horses, show them, so they figure into a lot of my writing. And I have a son and pets. So that's about all. So I'm going to ask a question of everyone. When you write fiction, when you're writing at all, do you see your novel or your scene as a movie in your head? And if you do, raise your hand. Okay. So that is one of the best things you can possibly do, is visualize your scene in your head as a movie. And then the first thing that you need to do, of course, is whose point of view, who's your point of view character? You choose a character to view a moment in time, and then you decide, are you gonna use first person, third person, omniscient, and I have some examples of second person, but trust me, you would not want to write a fiction novel in that in that case. And then you need to choose present or past tense. So a first person example would be, I step into the elevator just as the doors begin to close, and she is already there. Her perfume, subtle but impossible to ignore. Our eyes meet in the mirrored panel, and she gives me a faint smile that makes my pulse quicken. The elevator hums to life, and we stand in charged silence, the lighted red numbers above us ticking slowly upward. I shift my weight, my hands in my pockets, stealing glances at her reflection. The air feels thicker, and I'm hyper aware of every breath, every flicker of movement as the elevator climbs higher, sealing us together in this fleeting, suspended moment. So that's first person, where your main character is I. Okay. You can also, that was first person present tense, but you can also change that to past tense by just adding EDs in the past tense of your verbs. And then one of the other ways, and one of the ones I really like to use, is third person present example. This is where it's he or she. He steps into the elevator just as the doors begin to close, and she's already there, her perfume subtle but impossible to ignore. Their eyes meet in the mirrored panel, and she gives him a faint smile that makes his pulse quicken. The elevator hums to life, and they stand in a charged silence, the lighted red numbers above them ticking slowly upward. He shifts his weight, his hands in his pockets, stealing glances at her reflection. The air feels thicker, and he's hyper aware of every breath, every flicker of movement, as the elevator climbs higher, sealing them together in this fleeting, suspended moment. Now, the next one on the next page is omniscient point of view, and that's where the narrator of the story is all-knowing. He knows everything. He knows how the characters feel, what they're thinking in internal thoughts. He knows their past and future. And so I've given an example of that. The elevator doors slide shut just as he steps inside, unaware that fate has arranged this brief encounter. She's already there, her perfume subtle but deliberate, a fragrance chosen to suggest poise rather than invitation. Their eyes meet in the mirrored panel, his cautious but curious, hers composed, though she feels a faint flutter beneath her calm exterior. So you can see that the inner thoughts and feelings are starting to, the narrator is giving you both of theirs. Whereas in the other points of view, only one person. He may guess, she may guess of the other person's feelings, but they don't know for sure. And then I'm gonna give you the same in second person, just so you know how hard it is. So in second person is you, and it says you step into the elevator just as the doors begin to close, and she's already there. Her perfume subtle but impossible to ignore. Your eyes meet in the mirrored panel, and she gives you a faint smile that makes your pulse quicken. So you can kind of see how second person would not really lend itself to fiction, because the reader would be saying, okay, well, no, I'm not feeling any of that. So that's kind of, and I've given examples in first, present and past tense. And then I've got a chart that rates what happens, and reader intimacy is also one of the items that they're looking at. And since in fiction, drawing the reader into your story is one of the most important things that you do, getting that person to feel like they're there, that they're participating, that makes your story better. This little chart tells you that omniscient, though you get into everybody's mind and thoughts and stuff, it doesn't have as much reader intimacy as third person and first person. So when you're choosing how you're going to display your narration, you need to keep that into perspective. In omniscient, voice. It's really good for world building, theme, and depth, but a little less for special character development. Third person is really good for character development, emotional depth, and clarity. And first person makes the story more personal. You're getting in touch with the main character. The challenge is that omniscient can risk detachment. In other words, the very thing that you're trying to achieve, which is getting your reader to like your characters, to empathize with your characters, and want to hear their story, is kind of out the window with omniscient. And it also is subject to head hopping, which means that the reader can be lost in who's talking and who's narrating the scene. Third person is limited in scope, that it's the main character's view only. And the first person is really narrow because you're only getting that one person's point of view, where in third person you can swap your characters out in different chapters or by scene breaks. The first person is always the same narrator all the time, and they can be unreliable. So I want you to think about all of those things I just told you, because we're going to do an exercise. And then the next thing to consider in writing an engaging scene is what's your plot or tone. So your plot dictates how the characters interact with each other. So you have to choose, is your scene romantic, a mystery, science fiction, history, comedy, or literary fiction? When you write, do you see your scene unfold like a movie in your mind? Are you writing down what you see and weaving it into the story? And this is really important, because this is where you establish your space, where your character's in time and space. What does it look like around them? What season is it? What are the colors that you see? All of those things enrich your story and make it engaging. And then I learned this acronym in my writing classes, COTS. This acronym stands for colors, odors, taste, touch, sight. And if you incorporate those into your scene, you'll bring the characters, location, and background of the story to life. The other thing you need is emotional and visceral responses. In addition to words, humans use body language, facial expressions, hand gestures, and body movements. Tell the reader about your character's thoughts, feelings, impressions, and reactions through descriptions of body language. And then inner thoughts, we all have them. In every interaction with another person, we are evaluating and perceiving information about that person. Writing these in your manuscript enriches the point of view character for the reader. They get an inside track to the main character's emotions, impressions, and inner thoughts. Then the reader is living your story along with your main characters. They are witnessing their story and empathizing with the characters. And then, of course, tension. And this one is something that you really need to make sure you get into your story to make it exciting. Tension is developed from the point of view character's reactions to the circumstances happening around him or her. The writer creates tension through inner thoughts and by reading body language. Environmental factors can create tension. There are many types of tension. Romantic tension. Are your characters falling in love? One but not the other, both. Situational, are your characters trapped in a situation beyond their control? Traffic, a bank robbery, a hurricane. Take the dialogue below and add the number of bullet points to this scene, add attributions, setting details, inner thoughts, body language, and see what you come up with. So we want you to choose your genre, choose your point of view character and secondary character, choose your tense, first, third, omniscient, present, past. You can try second person, but it's awkward. Choose your setting and incorporate color, odor, taste, touch, sight, visceral reactions, body language to the scene. Try to generate tension in body language, inner thoughts, and situations. And so what I did was I wrote really generic conversation between two people, and I thought you guys would enjoy adding all of those things. And then anybody who wants to read theirs, will have you do that. Okay?
So how long are you gonna give us?
A week and 10 days.
I think 15 minutes, does that sound good?
That's fine, it's your thing, I just wanted,
Well, I want to give everybody.
you want us to do all 4 of these, right?
Well, that's the conversation.
Yeah.
So the 4 lines of dialogue are the conversation that the two people are having. But the rest is all up to you. And last time I did this with a group, I couldn't believe all the diverse stories that came out from just that little 4 lines of dialogue. So it's really fun to do. You guys need more time, or are you doing okay? Anybody that's finished want to read?
Okay.
Come on,
You
Sue.
talked me into it, bring me to Mike, if you would, please.
Just pulls out.
I'm inexperienced.
Okay, can y'all hear me? All right, good. Looks like it might rain later. I grabbed an umbrella and opened the door. Stepping out onto the porch, I breathed in the humid air. Yeah, it's been cloudy so far, but it hasn't rained. My friend, ever the skeptic, followed me down the steps and onto the sidewalk. He had the nerve to look up at the sky. I grabbed my sweater. It was cold this morning. I shivered. In spite of the chill, I anticipated a brisk walk in the fresh air before the downpour, of course. I think the weather is finally supposed to warm up a little by the weekend. Is the skeptic morphing into an optimist? Not possible. Even though the sun beat down on my shoulders, I wished I did have a sweater on.
Excellent.
No problem, necessary.
Next. Here you go.
So what was the
So
genre?
Sue, I don't know her genre, but she did use first person.
Yes.
The main character spoke first, and she incorporated all of the things that you need to begin to relate to that character. She even had some kind of snarky comments about her skeptical friend. So thought that was very good. Is anybody else ready to take a chance? Okay. Forgot you guys were over there. That's right.
It looks like it might rain later. You always say that. Not always. Sometimes it's actually raining. You have such a dreary outlook on life. Okay, I admit, it's been cloudy so far, but it hasn't rained yet. I roll my eyes. You're impossible. He grinned at me, which made me smile slightly. You're wearing a sweater, so I'm guessing you agree with me. I grabbed my sweater because it was cold this morning. It has nothing to do with your dreary prognostications. That stopped him. More than 3 syllables confuse his brain. So what brilliant analytical foresight do you have for this weekend? After looking puzzled for several moments, he said, I think the weather is finally supposed to warm up a little, at least by the weekend.
Okay, so I used third person, and he added a lot of dialogue, which is okay to do. That keeps the story moving, and you're not just stuck in narrative. So it was really good, and it was funny, which is always good, I think. Anybody else want to read?
Sure.
Okay.
I have, if I can, I'll read a few paragraphs from chapter 1 that I need critiquing,
All right.
and you can help me with that. Everybody can, because I need it. Okay, my story is called Protection Cove. Pallor Mortis, Latin for the paleness of death, chapter 1. Do you have any clue how much those punks have cost us this week? The ceiling light had burned out weeks ago. The desk lamp darkly illuminated the smoke-filled room in shadows. Light reflected off the desk, then dimly back to his face. He was shouting at everyone in the room. Sweat oozed and dripped down his face. His shirt, wet and heavy, stuck grossly to his fat gut. The red-faced and very angry and disgustingly sweaty fat man pounded the desk with his fists. His rolls of fat quivered as he moved. The stench of a man too fat to clean himself, dripping sweat on the desk. The smell of spilt beer, cigarette smoke, and vomit did not help the ambience of the room. A man, cloaked in darkness, leaned into the corner, his hat tipped down, obscuring the dark visage deeper into the shadows. And it's not about the mob. No. It's not.
So I didn't get a point of view character isolated, so I think you're using omniscient.
Isolated. Okay.
Well, like I didn't know who the main character was.
That's farther down.
Right, okay.
So instead of down farther, I bring it up.
That's perfect, that's perfect. But you did incorporate a lot of wonderful details. The darkened room, the table lamp, all of those details brought us right into what it looked like, where the characters were. So this is really good, well done. And the fat man, I mean, I'm laughing at it, I shouldn't, you know, because I'm kind of a fat woman, but
So?
but it's, it described the character very,
I
very
did
well.
the best I could do to make him gross.
Right, and it was very
He's
successful.
He's not the fat man, he's fat man.
Yeah, just fat, okay. Does, I think, good job, good start.
Thank you.
Yeah, you always want a good, healthy hook. Anybody else want to read something?
I feel better.
Yeah. Okay.
It looks like it might rain later. He shivered as he looked through the window to the heavy dark clouds. A shiver, he suddenly realized, like he felt when he looked into her eyes. He straightened up as he turned to look at her. I mustn't show it on my face, he thought to himself. But his eyes softened and his dimple appeared in a little smile. Yeah, it's been cloudy so far, but it hasn't rained. Thank goodness for this cabin and dry firewood. Lucky us who had no thought of weather. She She turned to him, leaning forward, wrinkles formed on her forehead, eyes narrow. You claim to be a seasoned hiker, to forget how weather can change so quickly in the mountains? My first and last hike with you, Tom. His shoulders droop, speaking without words. I grabbed my sweater, it was cold this morning. Yeah, your sweater, thanks a lot. I think the weather is finally supposed to warm up a little by the weekend. Not enough, Tommy boy, I'm out of here.
Good job. This is great concert, and I love the details of the cabin, and you explain details through their conversation, through their arguing. I love that because, you know, it was just really rich. It drew us into the scene very, very strong. Okay. Amy?
It needs a lot of editing.
Go over that. Good thing we can't see it, right?
Oh, yeah. It looks like it might rain later. Greg finally broke that awkward silence, the proof of tension between them. It grew after their fight over the money left to both of them by Aunt Jenny. Yes, to both of them and 3 other cousins, but in unequal amounts. Yeah, it's been cloudy so far, but it hasn't rained. Alan hated to agree with his brother about anything, even the weather. He saw the dark, heavy rain carrying clouds low in the sky, but he had to find something to contradict. It hasn't rained, he repeated stubbornly. I grabbed my sweater, it was cold this morning. Greg kept on his meaningless comments. He knew it was useless to talk about the money at that moment before the rest of the family gathered around the huge dining table in the halls. I think the weather is finally supposed to warm up a little by the weekend. Alan dismissed Greg's attempt to move their conversation into an ugly fight.
That was really excellent because the conversation is mundane, but the inner thoughts are telling us about the argument between the brothers, which is really exciting. That draws you right in. Really good job. Anybody else wanna take a stab at it? You look like you finished. Do you wanna? No. Go. Okay. So it looks like we have a lot of really good writers in here. So that's the end of my talk, and I hope you enjoyed it and it helps with your writing.
It was great.